in 3 weeks' time. They are going to come up with a solution for a stable and lasting ceasefire. And this is something that we can then discuss with our partners in the United States. Then comes another question. Security guarantees. In other words, how can we make sure that Ukraine can remain free, stable, and free of aggressions or further aggressions once a ceasefire has been signed? So, some argue that there's a lack of clarity around the signature, and there's a lack of clarity about a post-signature clarity from the US. Now, we have decided to agree on 3 pillars once the peace agreement has been signed. The key aspect of security, both for Ukrainians and Europeans, is a strong, well-equipped Ukrainian army the day after the signature, and every stakeholder has agreed on this. This is the reason why we have all agreed that the British Prime Minister and myself would give a mandate to our working force heads of staff to start working, to our Chief of Staff, to start working with our Ukrainian partners in order to draft a format. They come up to develop a new format for the future Ukrainian army, both on the ground, in the air. What do I mean by this? First, in terms of size, how many troops, what type of equipment, in order to be able to address any future Russian aggression. Once this has done, we will start planning. We will use this opportunity as a way to determine and identify the contributions of every one of our partners. The second pillar is reassuring forces. The forces that will be able to deploy once peace has been agreed. This is part of the proposal that France and the UK came up together a few weeks ago. That is, the purpose of such a force will not be to act on the front line. It will not act on behalf of Ukrainian forces. However, this force will bring together a number of troops from a number of our European partners. Not all of them, both because their political context does not allow them to commit or because they don't have the capability to do that. But in a number of strategic areas, agreed with our Ukrainian partners, we would offer a level of reassurance for, on behalf of Europe as a way to deter any future Russian aggression. This is something that we will work on with our with the European heads, Chief of Staff, and we will have a map as well as a format that will be agreed upon. It has been very clearly agreed that the reassurance forces' purpose is not to reduce the collective effort on the east flank of NATO. This will come as an addition, as an add-on, on an MO that is very similar to how we already intervene in those countries. We also need to be taken into account our own defense. Everyone around the table agreed that, number one, the European members were much more united than before. They were more courageous, they were more determined, and more committed to defending the safety of Europeans on the continent. Based on this, we decided to strengthen, to boost our response as a way to better protect our continent, both taking into account everything that has been done, both in member states and at the EU level. In other words, we need to boost, to bolster our forces and our capabilities in the defense industry, we also need to better prepare for the peace on the continent. We need to strengthen the cooperation between our defense industries and our armies in order to better work together. And we have also launched initiatives to be better able to understand what is expected of us in order to better face Russia. Things have changed and things have degraded for the past couple of years, including in line with the drop in support from the United States. So these are the main conclusions from today's summit. We have also been given a mandate by our colleagues. Prime Minister Starmer and myself have been asked to steer this coalition. We have been tasked to coordinate initiatives in order to be able to keep the momentum. So with Prime Minister Starmer, we will rise up to the challenge of steering this coalition of actions.
We're listening here to French President Macron speaking after he met with several other European leaders today to talk about the future of the Russia-Ukraine war and also how Europe is going